Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about reports of Nicki Minaj and her husband Kenneth allegedly hired henchmen to harm Jasonlee physically. Let's talk about it because this is a hot mess, and you know what? I want to believe that someone actually wants to harm Jasonlee, but at the same time, I don't believe it. I'm not saying that Nicki nor Kenneth is not capable, because I believe that Kenneth is capable. I believe that Nicki is capable, but Jasonlee is also a flip-flopper as well. Now, y'all know, when it comes to Jasonlee, I said, you know what? There's something about Jasonlee that I like, and it's really hard to hate people like Jasonlee, tashak, and what they do when it comes to social media. It's not personal. And I believe that, we could see Jasonlee going in on Nicki Minaj quite a lot. And I believe that, Nicki Minaj took it really deep and to a personal level. And I believe that her husband had, possibly taken it, deep as well. And make no mistakes, Jasonlee is a hot mess and he's a flip-flopper, right? That is something that I've observed with this guy. And I started observing this about him when Ye cut ties with him as a social media manager, because Ye told us why he had to cut ties with Jasonlee. And because he had cut ties with Jasonlee was like out for blood when it came to Ye, and he joined up with the Jewish mafia, because I can't say Jewish people. I think it would be very unfair of me to say Jewish people, because I've met some of the most sweetest, kindest, caring Jewish people on this planet who have taught me so much. And if I speak in general, I would be disrespecting those people as well. So I have to say, to the Jewish people who are about love, unity, peace, coming together, joining hands and hearts together, I love you all. I love you all so much. Some of my greatest life lessons, as a matter of fact, I've learned from Jewish people. Some of the greatest wisdom that, has been imparted on me was done so by some Jewish neighbors that I once had. We're still close, but they're not living close to me anymore. But let's move on, right? Because when you cut ties with Jasonlee basically went on a smear campaign against Ye. And I'm going to keep it honest as well. And I can say that as someone who has worked closely with a lot of people from the LGBTQIA community, I find that most of the gay men are like that. They're like flip-floppers with their emotion. They will pretend to be your best friend, but at the same time, they'll be the first to backstab you. So I could see Jasonlee doing that with Ye. But does it mean that in general, the guy is just someone that, we should write off and he should be written off? Heck no, because I do believe that, he has goodness in him. And I do believe that he has a lot of greatness in him. I do believe that, he can be a kind, sweet, caring individual. And as I've said, I just like the guy, okay? I like him. I don't know. I have a soft spot for LGBTQ men. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is the sass or what it is about them. And I've worked closely with a lot of them, okay? So I really like Jasonlee. But I have to say this. I really cannot believe that, Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenneth sent henchmen to harm Jasonlee physically. I'm not saying they're not capable, because, listen, I'm judging Nicki, and I'm judging her like hell, because as I've always said to you guys, Nicki, sometimes she gives that calm, collected, very intelligent, very educated woman. And when you listen to her music, you get that from her, right? You get that badass that we all love and we all can vibe to. And I love that about Nicki. But at the same time, there are times when we can see this hood rat. The hood rat mentality is there. And as such, that's a part of Nicki that I believe could potentially, do something like that. But what I believe should happen here, because if this is actually going on, right? If this is actually going on, I believe that they should be thoroughly investigated. And I believe that if Nicki and her husband actually did this, I believe that they deserve to be locked away and be locked away for a long time. And I believe that if Jason Lee is making public mischief, he should be held accountable, and he should know that it is not okay for you to make such mischief on a individual. You see, I cannot take a side in this, because if Jason Lee is telling a lie, what he's doing is very damaging and very harmful, right? To Nicki and her brand, and to Kenneth Petty, who already has a criminal record. And if Nicki had actually done this with Kenneth Petty, like, heck no, bitch, you don't feel comfortable enough to feel as though you have the power or authority to say you're going to beat up someone or you're going to threaten to harm them. Bitch, you're not God. You are not God. We all possess the same powers as human beings. If you can hire henchmen over there, I bet Jason Lee can find himself a few henchmen as well, right? So, bitch, if you think that because you have Kenneth Petty behind you, you can just do as you like and get away with it, no, bitch, that is not okay. I believe that when it comes to pop culture, even in regular daily lives, we're going to have our differences, we're going to have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, let's use reasoning, okay? Let's try and ash things out the best way we can, and if you can't, you go about your ways, Jason Lee go about his way. But when it comes to you allegedly sending henchmen to harm Jason Lee because he was there flipping his mouth or whatever you don't like, do you think you're God? Do you think you're in control? Bitch, you're not. You're not. The only thing you have is a man that may have done prison time. And if anything, and you're guilty of this, and your husband is guilty of this, I hope they lock him away for good. And I hope that you go right behind him, because it's definitely not okay. It's not okay. Okay? And for Mr. Jason Lee, I do hope that you're right, because if you're causing public mischief, I do believe that you should be held accountable. It's not okay to abuse your power. It's not okay to abuse your likeness. Not saying you are, but if you are, it's definitely not okay. But all of this it needs to end. And we need to get back to the hot mess that pop culture gives that doesn't include any threats, anyone beating up anyone, okay? That's where we want to get back to. And that's all I have to say about that. Let me know what are your thoughts and check in with you all later. Peace.